Hello everyone. So we'll discuss today the lectures that I've already uploaded. How many of you have gone through all of them? Can you please write? How many of you have gone through all the lectures? Please write in the chat screen. Okay. Many of you have done that. So if there are any questions, we can take them. Okay, I hope everything was clear then. So let me just revise what we did. We derived the continuity equation or mass conservation equation. We took a small control volume. I did not explain what a control volume is. I explained a little bit. So let me just go through that again. Yeah. So any volume, any fixed volume in space that you take is known as a control volume, CV, as opposed to a fixed mass of the fluid. So let's say there is a pipe in which there is some flow, and you take a fixed mass and track it with time. So after some time, this will deform to some other shape like that. This is known as a system. So also known as control system, or I'll just write system. So there is no flow across a system. Your entire system you are tracking with time. So all the points which were all the particles of fluid that were originally there in this system are still there in this system, because you are tracking the same system with time, and the system can deform and change with time. Whereas a control volume is a fixed volume in space, so the control volume boundaries don't change. Control volume boundaries are also known as control surface. So whatever bounds a control volume is known as control surface. And now here what we do is we look at the flow of fluid through this control volume like that. Okay. So instead of taking a big macro control volume, we took a infinitesimally small control volume. which looked like this. And these are the coordinate axes, x, y, z. And we said that, let's say there is some inflow and some outflow, like this. So on the left face, there is inlet. At the bottom face, there is some mass going in. From the back face, there is some mass coming in, and it is leaving out from these faces. And then we wrote this equation in. So rate of mass flow inside this control volume minus rate of mass flow leaving this control volume, this will be equal to dmCV by dt, which means the mass of the control volume, rate of change of that with time. And then we substituted m dot in, m dot out, dmCV by dt with the wrote there in terms of density and velocity. We assumed that density and velocity are functions of space and time, and velocity, which is this in its components form. This is a function of all right. Then we used okay, so let me write it for the left face again. We did it in the class, but let me just write it again here. So for the left face, this is rho at the left face, and because this is a very small element, so we are assuming that on the entire left face the density is rho, and we assumed that point to be xyz. All right, so rho times the velocity in that direction, which is v, this one in the y direction, and the face area, which is delta x and delta z. Okay, this is rate of mass flow in. So how many of you understood this formula here that we wrote? Y is rate of mass flow in is equal to rho v times delta x delta z. Can you please write here? Or if you want me to explain that, let me know. Okay, that v is not volume, that is velocity, but yes, the formula is correct. Mass is density times volume. So from velocity we get volume. So let me explain that here again. Let's say, okay, let us consider that face, the left face, and let us consider some time delta t in which this flow is happening. So with velocity v, there is this flow entering this face. So in time delta t, the displacement of those particles will be this distance, which is v times delta t. So what is this volume? That has entered this element. That is this distance times the area. This area, which is delta x, delta z. This is the total volume that has entered this element in time delta t. So what is the volume entering per unit time? So we'll just divide this by delta t. Delta t will cancel. We'll get v, which is equal to this phase times delta. So which is, this is the rate of volume entering the phase multiplied by the density gives you the rate of mass entering that phase. All right, so we got this. Similarly, we can write m dot out on the right face. Now, if there is a flow like this on the left face, uh, we can guess that there should be a flow like that on the right face because it is infinitesimally small element. Okay, and there will be little difference between this flow and that flow because we know that these fields are continuous in space. There is no discontinuity. We are not assuming that there is any discontinuity, in, although there can be, we'll discuss later on. They appear in compressible flows. These discontinuities as shocks or shock waves, which we will see. But right now, let us assume there are no discontinuities. So density and velocity are continuous functions of space. And because this is a very small element, so we can apply Taylor series expansion to these continuous functions. So if on the left face, because delta x, delta z are constants, they are not changing for this element. Rho v is a function that we can apply Taylor series expansion to. So on the right face, that is at a distance delta x, delta y away, delta y away from the inlet, what will be this function rho v? It will be rho v plus by dou y delta. That will be the velocity there. Not velocity, it will be rho v there. Density times velocity. And multiplied with delta z to get the mass flow rate uh, for that area. Is that clear? Yeah. How many of you are familiar with Taylor series expansion? How many of you are not? Can you please write? Yes or no, you can write, all of you. Okay. So let me quickly explain. Some of you may not be familiar or may not remember from your maths classes. So if there is a function of some variable, let's say x, and if you know the value of that function at a point, let's say at x naught, you know the value f naught. And let's say you know its derivative also at this point. So you know the function at that point 0, you know the derivative 0, x0, and its second derivative at that point, and so on up to the nth derivative, and all the other derivatives also, if they exist. If you know all these for a function, then you can know the value of that function at any other point, x1. Let's say f1. So this is what Taylor series is. So how do you know these things? Because if you know the derivative at this point, you know how the function is going to be, how it's going to look like. For example, if you know that the derivative is very high, so the function is going to look like that at this point. Okay, if the derivative is 0, then it is going to look flat here. Okay, so you know the tendency how the function is going to be at this point. If you know the second derivative, you know what will be the curvature of that point, and so on. If you know all the derivatives, then you can extrapolate this information and know what will the function be exactly at some other point. So what we did here, that we took just the first, or you can, because this is the first, this of the Taylor. So the Taylor series expansion looks something like this. If I have to write for this function f1, that will be f plus d at x equal to 0 times delta x, where delta x is the distance between x1 and x0, plus dx square delta x square by 2 factorial plus d3f dx cube delta x cube by 3 factorial, and it is an infinite series. There are infinite terms here. So if you see this, this is delta x square, this is delta x cube. If your delta x is very small, x is 10 to the x square, 10 to the power minus 10 to the power minus 4 with 10 to the power minus 8, you will get something close to 10 to the power minus. So you can addition to just this term, right? Given that d2f by dx square, df by dx, all these things, all of them are at 0. Given that all of them have same order or similar order. Okay. So what we did here is we x is very small. Assume that this is an infinitesimally small element. Therefore, delta x is very small. Therefore, we can take only this formula. We can ignore. All right. These are order delta x square terms, and we can ignore them in comparison to delta x. So here it was delta y, and the derivative is a partial derivative. And are same, delta x, delta in x and z directions, there is no change here. We are talking about only the x, only the y direction. There gives us the Taylor expansion. Okay. Now what we did was we replaced this m dot out and m dot in this formula here. What we get from here is minus dou rho v by dou, and we get delta y, delta x, delta z, because this term and this term cancels out from m dot in and m dot out, and this term we can call the volume of that element. Let me write it like this. This is the volume, and on the right hand side you have dm by dt. Now our element is, we are not tracking the element. We can write this as d by dt of rho v, and now derivative of density delta v we can take from here. With this, delta is fixed. Control volume definition is that the volume is fixed in space. So this, what will be this derivative? Will it be a total derivative or will it be a partial derivative? If we say that this is in the limit that delta v, then that will become a point in space. We are at that point with the flow, and we want the derivative of density at that point itself. Therefore, this will not be a total derivative. This will become a partial derivative. And on the left hand side, this is this one derived. Sorry, thing we just considered y direction here. Add other directions as well, because all of them contribute to the mass inflow and outflow at that point. So when you add them, u by dou x, w by dou z, so this side you can write as minus del dot rho v. V is the velocity here. And if you take dou rho by dou t, if you take this term to the right hand side, conservation equation that we derived in the last class. So is any step not clear? You can let me know now. So this differential equation is valid for each and every point in space. We could have derived control system approach for this control system, or we could have considered a big control volume and could have. So for example, for m dot in, for this big control volume, we would write some integral, not a triple integral. We'll just write a. So on the surface, you know the velocities. You have to consider only the normal velocity that will contribute to mass inflow or outflow. If there is a tangential velocity on the surface, that will not contribute to any inflow or outflow. So you have to do a dot product with the normal vector on the surface. So there will be some v dot n coming into picture here. There will be a surface element ds from which this flow is happening. And there will be a density here. So something like this you will see when you write m dot in or m dot out. Here, for example, you can see that, sorry, here you can see that if velocity and the normal vector on the surface, if we define this n as the outward pointing normal on this body everywhere, then if you consider this kind of velocity vector which is going inside the control volume, that is opposite to this normal, so this v dot n will be negative. So if v dot n is negative, that means there is a flow inside, and if v dot n is positive, like this situation where both normal and velocity are in the same direction, that means it is going out. So minus of this will give you this entire minus m dot out. And right, this is not infinitesimal volume anymore. And similarly, the right hand triple integral. So the of mass you have time for a fixed control volume. So we took this dou by dou t of the total mass inside this, which is density at each and every point, times dv, where v is an infinitesimally small volume inside this big control volume. So this is equal to this. Now you can apply the Gauss divergence theorem here, which you can read about. Gauss divergence theorem, and result as we derived here. Similarly, you can do it for a control system, which can be a small control system like infinitesimally small system or a big system. So there are 4 ways of deriving the same equation, and the same equation you will get. But there are some advantages of deriving this equation from an integral perspective. So control volume can include here now in this big control volume. So this is more general. When you convert this integral equation into integrals, not valid anymore for the case of discontinuity. So this is just Okay, we'll stop here if there are no questions, or if you have any questions, you can ask now. Okay, then we'll stop here. Thank you.